of the past several years is finally answered, and you can wave bye-bye to the Big Red. They're headed for the Valley of the Sun. Good evening, I'm Dick Ford.
And I'm Karen Foss, sitting in for Deanne Lane, who's on assignment. Cardinal owner Bill Bidwill ended the suspense this morning with an announcement made in New York that he's moving the football Cardinals to Phoenix.
Channel 5's Mike Owens followed Bidwill to New York for his meeting with NFL Commissioner Pete Rozelle, and Mike joins us now via Skylink 5 with a live report from New York. Mike?
Dick, as you said, 3 years ago, Bidwill said he needed a larger stadium to stay competitive in the National Football League. He wanted a 70,000-seat stadium built somewhere in St. Louis. However, no one was able to get one off the ground. And today, Bidwill made good on his threat to move. Bidwill wasn't talking this morning while walking from his hotel to the NFL offices. He's had a big secret for a long time. And once at the NFL offices on Park Avenue, he met with Commissioner Pete Rozelle. Then Bidwill met with a crush of reporters to explain what was going on.
We applied to the National Football League today to transfer the Cardinals franchise to Phoenix, Arizona.
Why the move? The final decision?
The final decision was made about the middle of the week.
Can you tell me why you decided to relocate to Phoenix, Arizona?
Competitive reasons.
Why not Baltimore?
Bidwill also called St. Louis's elected officials to give them the bad news.
No, I can't pin the blame on anyone. I will have to say that Gene McNary is probably the only person that for 3 years was aware of what the problem was and was willing to do something about it and try. And I have spoken to Mr. McNary this morning, and that was a very emotional call, too.
Bidwill would not go into detail on how emotional that call went. He did say he called Mayor Vincent Shamel, but also during that news conference he said he cannot fight City Hall, apparently a reference to the rocky relationship he had with Mayor Vincent Shamel. Even though Bidwill is moving, he says he's not bitter about moving to Phoenix, Arizona from St. Louis. He says he does like the climate there. Pete Rozelle was non-committal after Bidwill left the NFL offices. Rozelle also left. He says the league would have to review Bidwill's request to move to Phoenix, Arizona. However, it is apparent that the owners of the other teams in the league will go along with Bidwill's request. And we should mention here that Rozelle adds that even though the NFL is taking a team away from St. Louis, they may also bring one to St. Louis. He's leaving the door open that St. Louis could qualify for an expansion team somewhere down the road. Reporting live from New York via Skylink 5, I'm Mike Owens, Channel 5 Eyewitness News.
Okay, Mike, thank you very much. As you might expect, local political leaders have been quick to respond to Bidwill's announcement that the Big Red is leaving town. Channel 5's Huel Perkins has more from the Eyewitness Newsroom. Huel?
Dick, that reaction ranged from anger to frustration, but it's Mayor Vincent Shamel tonight who's now saying he's just begun to fight. Shamel says he'll take the battle to keep the Big Red in St. Louis before the NFL team owners. Bidwill must win their approval to move, but Shamel says he can pull together a new plan in the next 30 days that would give St. Louis the final say in where the football Cardinals play their next season.
If we can execute a plan to finance a stadium prior to the time that the NFL Board of Governors makes a decision, I think they would have a virtually impossible task to approve that move under those circumstances.
But County Executive Gene McNary is already calling such efforts little more than a waste of time.
Maybe it sounds good to come out and say, well, we're going to, the fight's just beginning and we're going to stop him from moving. But I think that's not going to stop him from moving. I think it's going to hurt our case getting another team.
At a news conference late this afternoon, business leader Chuck Knight outlined the proposal by Civic Progress that would have given the Cardinal football team $5 million a year over the next 10 years. Governor Ashcroft called it a good deal.
I am disappointed at today's announcement of the St. Louis Football Cardinal organization. However, I'm grateful for the outstanding effort that's been put forth in the St. Louis community and the unity that has been achieved in this community to support the opportunity for professional football here. I believe that we gave it our best shot.
We'll have more on this continuing saga at 6. Now let's pitch it to Mike Bush.
Okay, Huel.
Yeah, it still is a complex issue, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, even though Bidwill has announced his intention to move the Big Red, he still needs approval from the league. And according to guidelines drawn up by NFL Commissioner Pete Rozelle, approval may not be automatic. Channel 5's Rick Edlin has details.
According to the NFL Constitution, Bidwill can move the Big Red only if he gets the votes of 3/4 or 21 of the league's 28 owners. But after the Raiders moved to L.A. and the Colts to Indianapolis, Congress threatened to pass legislation regulating franchise transfers. To avoid that, NFL Commissioner Pete Rozelle drafted his own rule in December of 1984, with 9 conditions that must be met before an owner can move his team. Number 1, is the stadium adequate? Number 2, are the fans supportive? Number 3, has the team received public financial support such as tax breaks? Number 4, has the owner contributed to the problems and thus the need for relocation? Number 5, is the team losing money? Number 6, did the owner negotiate in good faith to keep the team here? Number 7, is there another team in the city where the team now plays? Number 8, conversely, is there another team in the town where the team wants to move? And 9, is the Stadium Authority, in this case the Civic Center Redevelopment Authority, opposed to the relocation? Some local attorneys say privately that Bidwell doesn't meet several of those conditions, but if league owners turn him down, Bidwell could choose to challenge the Rozelle rule and file a lawsuit. If they allow him to move, the league may still be sued by the city, but Mayor Schamel says the first move will be to lobby NFL owners.
You know, the city is prepared. We've kept a file on this, obviously. We think we have a document that will persuade the league that St. Louis should be the home of NFL football.
The Rozelle rule of 1984 has never been tested before, but this could be the time. Rick Edlin, Channel 5 Eyewitness News.
In 1986, Bidwell challenged the Rozelle rule in court, but later dropped the lawsuit. Of course, in Phoenix, negotiators there are elated. Shortly after 1 o'clock St. Louis time, they called a news conference to let everybody there know their good news.
I want to say that this is a great day for all of us. I think there's 2 significant elements that need to be said at this time. First of all, this is an Arizona team. I think that Mr. Bidwell would want us to express that this is going to be all of Arizona. And we want to be sure that every community throughout this great state knows that they're a part of today's efforts, that we want them to participate, to come, to enjoy, and that we all benefit by having the Cardinals here.
The reaction of the Cardinal players is what you might expect under the circumstances. Some sadness at leaving St. Louis, and also anticipation at playing in front of 74,000 fans at Sun Devil Stadium.
Well, it's a little bit of both. I'm kind of sad to leave because I work with a lot of kids and stuff in the city, and that's going to be the main thing. But it's going to be nice to play in front of 80,000 people.
It's going to be a major loss to this city. I make home here in St. Louis. I have a family. I married a girl from St. Louis. I got 2 children. So it's going to be somewhat of an adjustment for me, and I'm sure there's other guys on this team that will be affected in the same manner.
I've enjoyed St. Louis. I've said that over and over and over, but I'm looking forward to going to Phoenix.
While many of the players talked about selling houses and making plans to move their families to Phoenix, Cardinal linebacker E.J. Jr. took time to thank the St. Louis fans who supported him during a personal crisis several years ago. Suspension from the NFL for cocaine use.
They've been behind me during the drug-related problems and the strike of 1982 and trying to rebound from the emotional roller coaster of that. And I'm just sorry that we weren't being able to bring a playoff game to St. Louis.
The move to Phoenix also affects a number of office employees with the Cardinals. Adele Harris, Director of Community Relations, has been a Cardinal employee for 10 years.
I guess it's going to be kind of a difficult decision whether you stay or go.
Yes, it really is. At this point, I've got to talk to Mr. Bidwell, and then I've got to talk to my husband. And I don't know at this point.
Reporting from Busch Stadium, Art Holliday, Channel 5 Eyewitness Sports.